Number 3, still going. Now, I was a little bit too eager and I've got started without you. Never mind. I have some PVC foam board, known as Sintra in the United States. Foamex is a brand name in the UK. I got a bit overexcited and just started chopping it up. So what's the plan, you may ask? The plan is to make a chest piece, and I've started without you. I'm appalling. I'm not sure about the dimensions. I should have probably cut out to about there, but I'm going to roll with it now because tough. So with a post-imperial, you've got lots of three-dimensional layers. It's not like a modern kit, which is generally one slice thick. What I've done is I initially drew out and then cut out what I needed, and second layer, which will go there, and it will go there to give it that 3D, and I will cut the edges down accordingly, and there's another one for there. So these are all getting heated and shaped, and yeah, oh yes, it's an exciting time. I have Armour. Brilliant. If you've built Mandalorian before or cosplay before, you know what sintra is. Foam board, foamex, it's all the same thing. It's expanded PVC board. It's used in the sign making industry. You buy it in massive sheets like this, and it's really flexible. It's solid. The beauty of it is you can cut it with an X-Acto knife or a Stanley knife, depending on where you are. And if you apply heat with a heat gun, it becomes floppy and flexible, and you can shape it however you really like. As you can see, this is not a flat piece of board anymore. You can take a piece of foam board and heat it up really quite a lot. Safety warning, you need to have lots of ventilation. This stuff is poisonous. I think the fumes that come off it aren't good for you. So my window's open. Okay, so you can heat this up with your heat gun, give it loads of heat. Eventually, if you heat it up so much, it'll just go floppy and flexible. That's probably too much for a big piece, but you can heat it up, get it nice and soft, and press it to whatever form you want, which is you, and get a basic shape really easily. If you're doing multi-layer stuff, you basically have to cut out all your shapes flat, then bend your first piece to approximately where it's going to be, and then bend your second pieces to the same shape. That's really easy because you take that, heat it up a lot, put it on top of there, and then form it, press it into shape and hold it as it cools down. Now with foam board, it's fairly easy to handle even when it's hot. You just have to take care because you could burn yourself, but you can hold pieces of foam board like that whilst they're cooling. I've made a mistake. I think I said earlier, because I'm splicing videos together today, that I thought I'd cut this chest piece too narrow at the top, and I really have. So what I've done is I've made some little wings out of excess foam board, basically the bits I've already cut off, and I will be gluing bits back on, which is rubbish, but best do it now rather than later. Also with foam board, it's really good for sanding. It sands nicely, it cuts nicely. You can use a Dremel, a rotary tool on it to do detail work and cut it. So that's why this is your go-to material for making armour plates. If you're building yourself, you probably already know, depending on what club you're affiliated with, if you are, that some materials aren't allowed, some materials are allowed. So EVA foam is a popular alternative, which is a soft flexible foam, which is again really easy to work with. You can heat it up, you can cut it, but some clubs, the big club, won't allow you to use that, so this is where to go. There are pros and cons between this and 3D printing. I've got a 3D printer I've mentioned before. I'm having nothing but trouble with it. That's my inexperience rather than the printer. I'm getting there slowly but surely, but I find for some parts, like a shoulder bell or a knee pad or whatever, 3D printing is brilliant. When things get bigger and they get bigger than your print bed, I think, ugh, really? So I will go to the backup, which is my foam board. You can make a helmet out of this stuff if you really want to go for it. I'm not going to. I'm at the stage where I'm either going to get my printer absolutely perfect and print the pieces and glue them together, or I'm going to buy one. I'm not really sure yet, but time will tell. A lot of people, when they build a kit, they tend to go top to bottom. Start with a helmet. I'm probably going to leave the helmet till last. Ideally, when you build a Mandalorian particularly, it's probably best to start with what they call your soft parts. Your soft parts is the flight suit and the flak vest, which that gets attached to. If you get those fitted correctly, then your armour can fit to those appropriately. I kind of know where I stand with my flight suit and flak vest, and with this it's fairly straightforward, so I'm just kind of going for it. A lot of this build is wing it, a lot of it is let's see what happens, a lot of it is cut a piece off and then think, oh, I shouldn't have cut that off, stick it back on again. So there you go. So we'll go from there. So whilst I'm doing my foam board, I thought I would show you how you can stick it together, because that's really important, I guess. So you want to put layers of foam board together. The way to do it is to glue it. There's one way to do it. If you're going to glue it, you need to use contact adhesive. In America, that's called barge cement, to the best of my knowledge. In the UK, contact adhesive or impact adhesive, you'll know it under the brand of Evo Stick. Generally, it's a big red pot and it smells, but it's really good stuff. Now, contact adhesive, the whole point is you take your adhesive, make sure you're going to stick it on the right side, and you put a thin layer on each surface that you're going to glue together. Just spread it about like that, nice and thin, not too thick, because if it's too thick it won't dry, and it won't stick. You can't just stick it straight away. You've got to let this stuff go off for 10 or 15 minutes before you stick the pieces together. So here I am with some bits and bobs, contact adhesive everywhere. It's sticky stuff. So I'll see you in about 10 minutes. Bye. Yeah, the weekend happened and I stopped filming or building anything. So those little bits have been glued on there and there. I've actually got to build another layer on top of each of those, because this area and this area, they're going to be raised as well. What I'm doing at the moment, you can see the contact adhesive on both sides of these plates. That's just going off. That takes about 10 minutes and then I can stick it all together. This one's on firm, that's not going anywhere. So I've been looking at my general shape of this, and it's not quite the standard post-imperial shape. I don't mind. I'm not going for any form of club clearance, and I think it's well within tolerances of most clubs if I wanted to clear it. So I've also added a little foam board iron heart as well, so that'll be in the middle. It's not the standard shape for a post-imp, that's the standard shape for a modern. So again, going down my own route, doing it my way. I'm enjoying this build, it's very relaxing. So a few more minutes, this will be dry and I'll stick it together. Okay, so on my my initial plate, the first plate, I've marked it out where I want them, fitted it out. First plate's been heated and bent to shape. You can see it's bent like crazy. There'll be some tweaks as I go. Right, the impact adhesive, once it makes contact, basically sticks straight away. and if I've done it right, it sticks really well. I'm going to have some gaps because they aren't quite the same shape as each other, but that's okay. I'm going to be filling in with Bondo as I go later on. Right, this side too. Here we go. What I want to do is make those parallel lines, those lines parallel if I can, as best as I can. There we go. Rightio. This stuck. That is a big gap there. Big gap there. I'll probably have to do something about that. Oh, I know I will. I can tell I will. But no problem. I can fix it as I go. Okay, so I've got a chest plate forming. Let's move my camera so you can see. I'm going to get a tripod, I think. So that's where I'm at the moment. You can see where I've built these layers up because this is where I cut too much off initially. I should have listened to my gut originally and just left it on. I'm going to have to build another layer on to smooth that out. So shape wise so far, that's where it is on me. I kind of like it. It's big and hefty and chunky. It'll fit in flat vest nicely. It probably needs a bit more flex in it, which I can do. That didn't stick very well. Next jobs on this will be to trim these edges, give them an angle so it all fits together nicely. Make that a bit bigger, I think, there. Build these edges up here. Fix that. Ugh, I can fix that. There is some adhesive in there, it's just not sticking to itself, so make it stick. I'll trim all this edge, smooth it, give everything like a chamfered edge around the sides, and then I will put the filler on it, and I will add my iron heart, which isn't the right one, but I like it anyway. I'm going to do a little piece of design on this just to as a nod to the club I'm building, I'm associated with. They have a really cool design in their iron heart. I'm going to add that, and there we go. We've got some stuff glued together. We've got kit. I love it. All right, I don't know what I'm doing next, but I'll make a video. Who knows? Oh, I know what I'm going to do next. I'm going to tell you about my 3D printer a little bit.